Black Mountain and the lovely Jacobstown have been frequent flyers in my videos of late. Both have enough mutants and nightkin to fill up at least 20 posts on r/rule34.
Nice.
But what if we didn't want to play with ourselves and instead play as super mutants? Can you beat Fallout New Vegas while being a super mutant? The Legends Smiley Tops created a mod in 2011 that adds 2 additional playable races, super mutants and nightkin. Because we just played as Zero and utilized the absolute hell out of Stealth Boys, I figured it'd be more fun to play as a super mutant. If for whatever reason you thought that this could be accomplished without mods, I sincerely apologize that you've been misled. Here's a cookie, and I hope you still come to my birthday party. Without further ado, let's get our Hulk-looking self out of bed and get our feces together. I contemplated going with female for this run, but chickened out and went with the other available gender. This mod isn't perfect, but it definitely belongs in New Vegas. For special stats, I went with a high strength and endurance, for reasons unbeknownst to at least half of Alaska. I sit down and contemplate eating Mitchell's brain out, as I do, but I decided that maybe I should give my tacos from earlier at least a few minutes of digestion. For my tag skills, I went with explosives, guns, and melee weapons. This is a terrible choice, but a necessary evil for this run if we want to stick to a remote semblance of a challenge. Smiley did add a few traits to the game, which a future version of myself will be kind enough to throw up on screen. Thanks, beautiful. You really are the best part of me. I didn't only choose from the 3 added traits, and instead went with the Chosen and Built to Destroy perks. I felt like super mutants wouldn't take great care of their gear, causing it to break quicker. I do want to take the time to make a disclaimer. Smiley has several helpful tips to get their mod working properly. At some point during this run, you'll see me using a different Pip-Boy and a few other mods to make everything smoother. Several of these were suggested in his post. What I'm trying to say in my muddle of words is that if you try to download this mod yourself, make sure you read up on it quite a bit. With our Stormtrooper accuracy and its Stealth Boy in hand, I head off to Prim. I was pretty surprised when the NCR didn't shoot at me immediately, but found out later that the NCR only has a slight disposition towards muties. After disarming some mines and getting inside the actual town, I go on a murder spree. I picture most mutants would have an all-consuming anger that tends to linger around like men at gay bars. What can I say, free drinks and a night to remember? Sign me up, daddy. On the second floor I use the incinerator and immediately remember why I never use this weapon. It's almost as tasty as cereal when the milk is placed in beforehand. Y'all are criminals and deserve the same treatment that I'm giving these possessed watermelons. I did get a little careless at one point and it almost ended up dead. As it turns out, 9 endurance doesn't make you invincible. Also, someone finally educated me on how to properly drink water now, so now everything in my life has changed. As a super mutant, you are a little taller than everyone, so it makes conversations and walking through doors a little different than what I'm used to. But nothing is broken by this, which makes me more wrecked than the Statue of Liberty. Thanks, 1886 France. While making my way downtown, a little fluid got in my eye, and I suddenly grew stronger with the addition of toys that always hit the right spot. Whipping back to Chet, I buy some leather armor and step outside to convert it to something more my size. Because regular armor warps the size of the character model, Smiley added new sets of armor that fit better. These are super amazing, and I wish I would have taken the time to catch them all like I did with Pokemon back in the day, but ultimately only tried 3 bougie outfits. Dancing my way to Nipton, I sliced and diced my way through these ants. In hindsight, I wish I would have bought a blunt weapon like a shovel from Chet. I rarely see super mutants with a blade of any kind and regret using it so much. The Jekylls up next definitely gave me some trouble, so I used most of my arsenal throughout the battle. Obviously, combat isn't going to be a whole lot different than most runs, but it was interesting having a lot of strength and endurance while having no intelligence. Stimpaks and food didn't really do much for me for how much they cost, so it definitely makes me glad that I usually pick medicine or survival in most runs. Oliver was just standing there, menacingly, so I took him out with a couple shots from my big boomy device before pushing north. Apparently dynamite either didn't do enough damage to the pups to kill them, or managed to clip into something so tight that even my uncle would turn it down. But the boom launcher did, and a shotgun finished off their mother. Throughout this run I purposely avoided putting points into anything but my tag skills, and later on survival. This hindered me from just playing the game from how I normally would. After the hour or so that I spent getting used to my playstyle for this run, I pushed back to the correctional facility, Hidden Valley, and Black Mountain. One slight complaint that I have for this mod is that none of the dialogue is affected. I completely understand with how much dialogue the game has, but it does bug me when Neil chases after me and calls me a human. But now that we've got a solid grip on what's different and what's the same, let's do a few jumps. I visited one of the many reasons why I love New Vegas, murdered some fiends while being hella jacked, pushed past Camp McCarran, disarmed some gumdrop buttons, saw that the Monte Carlo suites are in the process of being renovated by a hairy wizard, got lost going to Jacobstown for the 50th time, walked the long road in utter silence because tunes are illegal on YouTube and I never know when I'm going to need the game audio. spoke to a blind version of Marcus, and met a new NPC. Tops is a merchant that sells weapons, clothes, and armor for plus-size women. As I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of cool items that Smiley added, and I would highly recommend checking them all out. I, however, only use the drippiest fits. I am way too old to be using that word. I convinced Vendertron to give me everything that I wanted by scaring the oil fuel out of him, so much so that he became the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz, and I immediately put the new armaments to good use. I went to go help the king at Freeside, but one of them made fun of my green skin, so I introduced them to my poop launcher. This made everyone rather upset, so I decided to walk towards the bright lights that make up the strip. From the information that I gathered from a few of the mutants in Jacobstown, the NCR should have their legs eaten. Using my shiny boom boom device, I go into a rage, spreading death to everything on this side of the strip. The NCR is weak and worthless, like I was to my dominatrix, allowing me to level up and grab more explosives and the new steady arm perk. Everyone inside was oddly peaceful as I went through and murdered them all. I'm not sure why, but the chainsaw really brought me a lot of delight and healing to my inner childhood. Over at the tops, the rather edible looking chairmen tried to take my shinies away from me, so I hit them with my stab generator. This of course also included the Dumbo who tried to murder me less than a few days ago. As a result of all that bloodlust, I leveled up, allowing more melee and guns while also grabbing the new clobbering time perk. I thought that this was super cool as you gain a few stat increases during a selected time. It reminded me of high school and how I would just get angry being in a particular classroom. Yes Man told me that I could be the strongest suit mutant ever if I just follow mommy's instructions. I was hesitant at first, dealing with a metal screen and licking her feet, but it made sense to me in a hey I want to help you take over Vegas kind of way. Kaisar's Legion and the NCR both sent their pleas to adopt me into their tribes, but I really needed to sit down and contemplate how my choices would impact the entirety of Vegas. After approximately 24 seconds and a few counts of murder later, I grabbed an axe next to a corpse of the guy who had a poop so legendary that not even the apocalypse could stop it. I would have totally spelt apocalypse wrong on the spelling bee. I've listened to a few people who had way too much to say before getting to a guy that looks a lot like my ex-wife when she doesn't wear a wig or do her makeup. Screw you in particular, Samantha. After or before, I know but I won't tell you, I fought in the arena. This really wasn't for a particular purpose, but I felt like the Legion would try to get a mutant to fight in the arena just to study them a little more and appreciate the slaughter. I shove a chip in a slot after dropping it at least twice, run towards the lasers instead of away, and upgrade the bots after dying a few times in this death trap of a room for most melee players. While restocking at my new shop, I ran into Malcolm Holmes. Being the man of honor that everyone knows that I'm not, I spent nearly 2 minutes of my life beating the crap out of this parasite of a man. As I saw his body fighting to stay alive and him gasping for air, I wonder what it would be like to be an element. Bro, what if you were like nitrogen? And not a person with choices. Nitrogen, a colorless and abundant element, often has a hard time being noticed like me by most women. Oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen so often overpower nitrogen in regards to the human body that the measly 3% is often forgotten. But what if you could do more than just be 3% of a random human? You could be attached to a paintball gun, as carbon dioxide is going by the wayside for that application. You could be utilized as a fire suppressant system and information technology equipment. Or you could be utilized to create something resistant to rusting and corrosion. Stainless steel. Regardless of the wide variety of uses that you could be applied to, one thing is for certain. You would have even less of a chance at happiness than most Discord moderators. Sorry, Nitrogen, but like Claptrap and my left pinky toe, you don't have feelings. Speaking of Discords, you should probably check out mine. It's terrible, because I just shaved my neck beard, but I would love hanging out with you guys and hearing your suggestions for videos. After killing Malcolm, visiting Google, and plugging something other than my ass, I used my fat fingers covered in Dorito dust to open up a few terminals, and put an end to Microm State Farm at 3 in the morning. Walking outside, I find a rather dapper NCR soldier standing in front of the carnage from earlier. The Ultralux was pretty chill with me due to my cannibalistic background, but they definitely still seemed fearful of what I was carrying in between my legs. After doing the helicopter maneuver, I speak with Mortimer about what services his casino offers. He suggested, with my love of meat, that I see someone in the basement. So I walk past some hot dudes and spend a minute having a rather sexy encounter with Ted. I think you guys have witnessed enough fisting for this run, so I'll save you from this experience. Taking his blood, I planted some on his father's bed and his sink so I could walk up to a Securitron while being completely covered in blood, and being a suit mutant, to frame him for his son's murder. I'm not even going to reread that sentence and hope the later version of myself has a stroke while reading it. P.S. I did. Mortimer said that he had a fantastic dining experience. I got confused at the New Vegas Medical Clinic on the difference between plants and implants. said hello to George in the only way I know how, and made my way through the Boomers' bombardment. For whatever reason, the optional find out more about the White Glove Society by talking to Marjorie kept popping up. This irritated me so much that I started taking several breaks just to avoid that headache. Pearl called me a savage and I responded accordingly by murdering her and most of her family. This did prove challenging at certain points, but video editing allows me to hide all of my mistakes, making me look like the god that I am. Just to clarify, I only have a god complex in video games, and it's the extreme horniness that follows me into my real life. I've listened to Yes Men go through the upgrades and managed to watch a 1 hour and 47-minute movie about 2 women stuck in a tower. It wasn't terrible, but I have a strong dislike for suspenseful movies due to my history of edging, making the movie seem like it would have been better as a short film. Regardless, there were boobs, so I was content. The Omertas wanted to steal my collection of pleasure devices, so I showed them what they were used for. Needless to say, things got a little hot like this next series of cuts. I saw a dude who killed many members of my family in Fallout 3, was immediately transported back to the 19th century America and given an explosive collar, willingly killed an NCR ranger with the help of a low-yield Estra shot and a crappy radio, got called a brute by an old person, stole the super sledge off of a shelf on the lower level, killed a few members of the NCR at Boulder City, that way the Great Khans would love me enough so I could join their drug-fueled orgies, killed Marjorie in hopes of getting rid of this stupid pop-up to no avail. Yes, I did try talking to her too, I'm not a complete animal. Grabbed Lilo and Stitch, killed some ghouls who look like anorexic versions of myself, empathized with Lily so much so that I think I need to tell my therapist we made a breakthrough, got blinded with how bright Jason was, and hit a button that allowed things to eject out. My god, I need some form of intimacy again. Ladies, I'm taking any and all applications. Gentlemen, I'm largely blind without my glasses and love being pegged, so if you look like Matt Schultz from Cage the Elephant, chances are you're golden. What? They have great taste in music. Lily and I safely evacuate from the bunker and watch it explode like me last night. Rule 34 really does have everything. I breathed at Red Rock Canyon, purchased some hella sexy new digs, restocked on ammo, gave free blowjobs to any and all NCR members blocking my way to the power station, integrated with this terminal harder than Bernie Sanders on that bench that took Reddit by storm for a week, drank some water in a cave that tasted like cat poop although there was none to be seen, realized the cat poop was indeed invisible, killed 3 of my nightkin brethren that wanted the liquid in my stomach from the cave, and told Dr. Henry that my grandma was far too important to me to be tested on. Yes Man informed me that I should steal Fantastic Four's The Things line and say that it's clobbering time. Having this much damage and survivability on very hard and hardcore settings is delicious and makes me really want to play the game only using melee. But that'll have to wait. I pound the NCR troopers in all the right holes, talk to Yes Man, flip a switch that is nothing like the one my dominatrix uses, listen to the Legion's screams as I rip through all their Centurions with few hits, and make my way to the Legion's camp. This area goes about as smooth as my legs are right now, and I haven't shaved in about 2 weeks. I managed to launch a few big kid shots from Esther, potentially killing my grandma in the process. She will be missed, and I hope she enjoys her time with Elvis. The legate himself was not lucky enough to die in the blast, and instead got a metal pole to the face a few times. I've had whips used on me in the bedroom, but this one seems a little too kinky. After engaging with General Lee Oliver, I took him down with bravery only seen with ants and garlic, proving that yes, you can beat a Fallout New Vegas while being a super mutant. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and were able to be distracted from your other responsibilities in life. If you did, or were able to, please subscribe and shove a thumb up my ass. Have a good one.